Well, you better kill all these werewolves before they become actual dwarves.
Yeah,
Wait.
we just got to double down on our genocide.
You committed now. Okay, so who wants to do the recap? Don't all jump at once now.
I've been awake.
I'll do it. I'll do
Thank
it.
you.
It's not a particularly lengthy recap because I think last session was fairly short, and mostly taken up by fighting. So we had just convinced the ghostly dwarves to let us past by telling them they were dead and let them fade away to their well-deserved rest. And we were ready to open the doors, and then we realised there was one room that we hadn't checked. So we went and checked one final room before the door. It was aristocratic and religious, and there were a bunch of religious texts that many of them were sort of related to the various shrines we found so far. And then satisfied that there was nothing left to check before we opened the door, we opened the door and we discovered what appeared to be some kind of fighting pit or arena. In the center of it was a zombie owlbear and various other zombies with bows and such scattered around the room. There was then a big fight in which we eventually finished off the zombie owlbear and sniped off all of the other zombies. And then with the room cleared, we took a bit of a look around. We found some controls that activated various bits of the arena, like changed the floor, made it sort of jagged or smooth, or raised it up or something, opened and closed some gates. And there was a magically locked box thing that covered some kind of big red button, which we very carefully did not open and did not push, because we are sensible. And then we started wandering back, and then we realised that actually we weren't done, and we can't rest yet because there's one more barricade we need to clear. And that's, I think, where we got up to.
Indeed. Good job. So, you are here in front of the presumably final area, the final direction from that initial intersection that you've come back to. And yes, it's a sort of moderately, okay, not that well constructed furniture barricade. And it looks like it was constructed from the other side to this one. So sort of, you've got a lot of flat bits of furniture facing you, and then things kind of piled up in more of a slope behind them. But you can sort of push your way through it, climb over it. It'll just take you a little time. You can probably dismantle it. It's fairly hastily constructed.
Okay. We should probably get round to... we should probably dismantle this just in case we need to leave in a hurry.
Before we do this, I'd like to walk up to it and put my ear near it and just listen to see if I can maybe hear some sounds of any scrabbling or movement or anything on the other side.
What's your passive perception? I know your passive perception. I've got your character sheets. Hold on. Yeah, you don't hear anything.
Okay, then I'll shrug and start moving things as Akeem suggested.
Okie dokie. I will remove the barricade. And I will remove the lighting for the barricade separately. And stretching ahead of you is a corridor similar to the ones you've seen, but a little wider than the ones... so kind of like the one that led up to the arena, one that's a bit wider, one that's it's still kind of nicely decorated, but with not nearly as much effort as the other areas. It looks residential. You see, fairly similar looking doors for the few rooms that have doors remaining, leading off away from the corridor. And yeah, it looks like a similar sort of residential corridor to what you've seen before.
Alright. Give a few steps down. There appears to be another blocked off thing here.
Yes, you have been to the other side of this.
Yes, we have.
a few sessions ago when exploring. Would you like to clear this barricade?
I mean, I'm kind of more interested in these unexplored things, to be honest.
Okay.
We can come back and dismantle this later.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, you can. So this room, you find the room Akeem is currently in. I think you've been in that room. That's the room where you found your nice scarf.
Oh.
That was where you found it. The room Akeem is in, it's kind of warm and it's cold stone but made warm and cozy. Well, I suppose dwarves don't need stone making more warm and cozy. But it's made warm and cozy by all of the like nice solid wooden furniture in the room. There are sort of large bookcases on either side with mostly scribbled fragments of notes rather than many coherent bound tomes. And there's a large desk that takes up practically one whole wall in the first room, where a wooden chair has been dragged back and forth along it many times, and you can see this sort of slightly maybe scuffed on the floor. And scattered across the desk are sort of notes and weird little implement, like little metal instruments and things that you don't really recognize. Not musical instruments, like scientific, I suppose, instruments. And yeah, most of the scraps of paper lying around are sort of numbers or don't really mean much to you, but you do notice some letters in
Okay.
among them. And these letters are a correspondence talking about, again, things you don't really, things that you'd have to spend some time trying to like pick through and figure out what they're talking about. It's fairly, they're talking about like weird sciencey things mostly, and the letters are addressed to someone by the name of, hold on, let me find this.
That's a strange name.
I know, it's an unusual name.
DM dad jokes. The NPC's name is Fuck Where Are My Notes?
It's an ancient and noble dwarven name.
So yeah, to someone by the name of Irina, and there's no surname attached, or unless that is the surname, then it's kind of hard for you to tell.
And I have no idea like what topic or subject they're talking about.
They're talking about, like, it looks as though they were corresponding on some sort of like science, various scholarly topics. There's a little bit of arguing about philosophy. There's some sort of talks about like sciencey experiments. They seem to have very different approaches to and each be quite disparaging of the other's approach to science. From all the instruments here, you can assume, and all the scattered notes with like lots of numbers written down, you can assume this dwarf was quite precise.
But no idea what it was that this dwarf was working on. Okay,
It's not obvious from a sort of
sure.
quick look at the room, but you're welcome to, examine it later in further detail. Make a project
Okay.
of it.
Let's move on. A mystery for the future.
Is this another locked door?
This is a locked door. Are you going to pick that lock?
I think we'll stick to the open ones for now.
Open ones first. Okie dokie. So, the room you come into is, so the bed's a little larger in this room, as some of them have been, and it seems as though, judging by the clothes you see, kind of actually mostly they've been tucked away in chests, but these clothes are kind of hung up over chairs, and it looks as though this was probably an Aarakocra. And they have there's a spear leaning in one corner of the room. They've got like it's a small living room, and then a for this fortress fairly moderately well-sized bedroom. And they have, they've got like a nice chair, a little table. It seems like quite a comfortable place. The unfortunate Aarakocra themselves is dead on the floor in the first entry room. Long dead, and not reanimated, fortunately for you. And you see on the little side table they have in their first room, you see they were sort of perhaps even midway through writing a letter. And it's a very familiar letter. A letter sort of asking after the health of various people whose names you don't recognize but sound like kind of bird people names. And it's kind of all ready to be, there's an open envelope ready to put it in, and the envelope already has some money in it.
Interesting. The corpse.
Yes.
If I could just poke its arm to get to move it a bit, to get a look at the back of its hands.
Mhm.
Are they blistered? Are they covered in any telltale signs?
Sort of, they're a bit blistered, but not as far gone as I think we can be quite obvious at this point that they're not as far gone as the ones that reanimated. Those are like open wounds on the back of their hands. These are kind of a bit blistered.
Okay, well, that's fair enough. How much money is in this envelope?
You're looking at about maybe 15 silver.
Huh. Well, yoink.
You yoink the silver.
Right.
I'll probably call attention to it, to the group are picking up. Jingle jingle, shackles. There's money over here.
Yeah.
Sure.
Worth taking with us if anyone else is gonna.
I think for now I will. Yeah, I'll pocket it. I'll hand it out later if we want.
Okay.
Although as I think as the bird appears behind me, I'll just spend a moment thinking and having to do the maths, and it doesn't go, and she spends a bit too long trying to make it go, and hands you, I think, 4 silver.
Hooray.
You got the bad money. Akeem is entering a room, and we're looking at quite a large sort of living space now. All these rooms you've come across here so far, they've been sort of one occupant, but with a nice separate living room, so a bit nicer than a lot of the rooms you've come across before. And yeah, you find this room. It's got, actually there's quite a lot of the main room is dominated by quite a large table with quite a few little stools tucked around it. And yeah, there's no sort of, there's space in the middle for maybe a few candles that are now burned out, but there doesn't appear to have been any fighting in this room. It's all fairly in order.
Can the candles still light?
Yeah, you can light a candle, but I'm not gonna.
Yeah, I want to light the candles.
I'm not gonna create a light source for it though.
Let's just say that I do it.
You do this. The candles are lit. I
Yay.
could find a candle.
Enjoy how light sources are like our DM's bane.
I don't like having to do light sources.
You've gotten good at it.
Thanks. There's a candle. Let's give it a light source. It emits light.
Durin's bane was an ancient evil of fire and shadow. Katie's bane is boxes. Type numbers into. Press enter.
There we go. It's a candle.
So pretty.
this one next.
Dravora found the bathrooms, and Akeem has found another, fairly plain, fairly well-stocked room. There's, unlike some of the other rooms you've seen, there's no evidence of literature in this one. You find instead sort of some little crude carvings, or not crude as in like not very good carvings on the wall, depicting sort of a dwarf in various heroic and possibly fabricated battle scenarios. There's a lovingly maintained axe, which is sort of carefully placed in a specific weapons holder against one of the walls, and there's a lot of sort of tools for maintaining it. There's like oil and cloth, and there's like there's quite a few whetstones.
Is the axe magical?
The axe is... Oh yeah, you've got your aura on, so I remember. The axe is magical.
The axe is magical.
Yes.
Ah.
Ping, ping, ping.
This axe here's got some magic on it.
What kind?
Good question. What kind of magic?
Scrolls of magic. Because I always forget what they are.
I'm pretty convinced, while you search for this, that the question Iona asked was not the question that Keem heard. What kind of magic? As in, like, is it fun? What does it do? Destroy
Is it
magic?
fun
And Keem's
magic?
like, yes, what are the 8 types of magic? What is the question?
It's evocation.
Okay. Evocation. It's possibly enchanted so that it hits harder, or possibly has some other effect.
Can you use an axe?
I can. I have my own, but
Well, I took a new weapon. You should too. Abandon your old friend.
this axe has served me well for a very long time, and I don't want to just leave it lightly. But I can't very well turn down a magical enchanted axe. I'll take both with me. Although I'm starting to feel the weight of all of this stuff I'm carrying. Does anyone mind taking this magical pickaxe off me?
Fine.
Alright, I will wander over and hand it over to Sinchbid. And then I will take the magical axe. Is it a battle
Congratulations.
axe?
Yeah, like a big big battle axe. Alright, good job, team.
Okay.
Okay, and now as you start to head towards this end of the corridor, Dravora's probably noticing it now. The air begins to get rather humid.
Hmm.
It's not like hot. It's not any warmer. I mean, it's not exactly been cold in here because it's kind of insulated by the mountain. But yeah, the air just becomes humid.
I incorrectly associate this with danger. Grip a bit harder on the staff of my hammer as I approach what.
Okay,
Is
as you
there?
come around the corner, you can see this room on your right. Kind of opens up, branching away from the main corridor. It's a very open plan for this fortress, all things considered. And you see along the sides of the room, kind of, so these long shapes along the side of the room are like little cubby holes, cut into the stone, sort of maybe 50 centimeter by 50 centimeter big, like probably about the same depth, cubby holes cut into the stone. And then in the center is benches.
It's almost like I want to say this is like a swimming pool changing room. I don't know if my dwarf has any concept of a swimming pool changing room, but
A bird would. Birds need to bathe.
The
is there
Aarakocra had a
anything in
secret
any of
swimming
these cubby holes?
Um,
Having a quick look through them.
you find a few. You're pretty on point with your guess because you do find a few towels in some of them.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna snag a
and there's,
towel.
yeah, a few sets of clothing, but nothing magical or special. Goes ping 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 in your magic radar.
Or maybe some kind of bathhouse that gives us a clue as to why it's
Yes, and as you come
Dump
round
in
this
here.
corner, where
Thanks,
you're all
thanks a lot.
moving, if you'll stop, I can tell you what you're seeing. You see ahead of you. So these large blue shapes. These are indeed baths. This is a bathhouse. It's a very nice one actually. It's kind of, not super fancy like some of the entrance rooms you've seen, but it's nicely decorated. The ceilings aren't that high, but it's nice and cozy. The baths have these like nice kind of steps up to them, and then on the inside they've got kind of little ledges that you can sit on. The water is obviously really gross after all this time where it's been presumably stagnant. And there are dead bodies floating in the water, so that does make it all a bit less appealing. They're all kind of... A lot of the corpses you've seen so far, because the air's so still and stuff, they've been fairly preserved or already decomposed. These ones are pretty bloaty and nasty. Yeah, you may not want to have a bath there right now.
It's nasty.
I was all excited to get clean.
Well, we already know the water in here doesn't work, so I can't imagine that the bath system does too. Doesn't quite explain why it's quite so warm, though.
Well, I think this might be a worthy long-term goal, at the very least. Clear this place out, get the water working again. And then we can have baths.
I'd
Oh,
like
that-
that.
I'm just going to move now. The smell of that is putting me off.
Yeah, let's move down here.
Alright, the room... Okay, everyone stop. Stop, wait. Okay, good. The room you enter into, firstly, Dravora has entered into a room. You may or may not have had something similar to this in your fortress, but if you have, then you will be aware of the concept of essentially showers. There's sort of along the wall that Dravora is kind of up against now. There are little holes in the ceiling and little like taps on the wall, and there's a big drain in the middle of the floor. And you also see off to the side, with the doors now sort of ripped off the hinges and hanging open, you see the two doorways contain little rooms with, you can see like wooden benches, and it's basically a sauna. It's a sauna. These dwarves had saunas. And now I'd like everyone to roll initiative. You can't see what the thing is, but it's aware you're there. So let's do that.
Uh-oh.
Okay. Do. I can do commands.
Good start.
Classic.
At this point, I just want to GM roll everything so we can't see this shit. It's just kind of
Will it hurt less
depressing.
if you can't see it?
No. No.
Maybe it'll hurt less emotionally if you can't see it. Okay. So as you are admiring the beauty of these showers, thinking about how you'll be able to have you'll enjoy these lovely bathhouses once it's all renovated, lurching out of the darkness towards you comes an undead, as you've seen many before, and this one seems pretty sharp for an undead. Pretty with it, pretty tough. This is, again, unlike a lot of the ones you've seen, this one is a dwarf in their prime, and they are wielding... Oh no, sorry, they're not wielding any weapons. They're just wearing a towel, actually, because they're an undead in a bathhouse. So it's an angry zombie in a towel, and yeah, it's going to charge at Dravora. But it seems pretty sharp, pretty with it, somehow, despite being in a more humid area, somehow less decomposed than most of the zombies you've seen so far. It's like a tough zombie or something. It's gonna try and hit Dravora.
That does not hit.
It does not hit. It's still sleepy. It just woke up. Iona.
Well, she's freaking out a little. She didn't expect it, so she's going to run straight through you
Okay.
and end up here, where she is safer to sharpshoot.
I like that she can fly, but she's so panicked that she just runs straight through. She just
Give you a
barges
good bump.
past, smacks you in the face with a wing. It's good. That's a
I
good
agree.
sharpshooter's super shot.
All
there.
right. Cool.
Pew pew. What weapon are you using again?
It's
The shiny new bow.
The mech bow.
Mech
Yeah.
bow. Got it. Thank you. Singebeard.
Move around those folk. Why not? Let's give you a chance to show off. Give me a DC 15 dex save.
Okie dokie.
13. Sorry. Yep. Nothing happens.
I'm not an overachiever.
You're an ogre achiever.
Boo. Boo.
So many ogre puns, so little time.
Alrighty, is that your turn?
Wait. Wait a minute.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
My proficiency bonus went up.
Oh, does that mean you hit?
I don't know. I need to check how spell save DC works.
It's 8 plus proficiency plus spellcasting modifier, so if it's...
Yeah.
Yeah, that should be 14 now then.
Okay, then I take it back. You do the damage.
Yeah, because, yeah. Nice! Nice!
Cool. So what happened?
10 radiant damage as flames crackle around the dwarfs. Bear rotting the skin.
And it's very upset about this development. It's really upset. Ow, says the zombie in its towel.
It speaks to its towel.
Zombies, everyone know, do you not speak towel? That's a big cultural difference between this fortress and yours.
No, don't do that. Just ignore that.
Is that your turn?
Sorry, I'm trying to edit things.
Some people have
Akeem.
fan dances. They have towel dances. I meant fan language and towel language, but I've gone somewhere else now. We'll just have to deal with it.
Well, I grabbed a towel. Maybe we can create an understanding of each.
Maybe if you learn and do the towel dance, all these zombies will calm down and join your side.
Perhaps.
That's how you get necromancers. Do you want necromancers?
How did we
Do
get
you
to
not want it?
necromancers?
Someone wants necromancers.
Why are you
So on my turn,
Mhm.
that I'm supposed to be taking. So I can't, because I have to squeeze past Singebeard, I can't actually reach it. So what I'm going to do is, Akeem is going to say, time for you to prove your worth, as he hefts the new axe he's just picked up. And he is going to move. In fact, he's going to drop the torch,
Yeah.
draw his new battle axe, and move to there. And I'm going to ready an action to attack that zombie if it moves within my reach.
Okay. Akeem has not learned his lesson about using magical items that you haven't identified, has he?
He has not. I mean, in fairness, he's been remarkably cautious up until now. I think he just assumes that this axe isn't going to be like the worst axe in the world.
Just
And
can't fathom.
He's probably wrong about that.
Just can't quite fathom dwarves making a bad axe deliberately.
Yeah, like
Yeah, it's definitely dwarven made, so you're probably safe.
It had legends on the wall.
It had totally legit legends, and as a bard, Akeem is familiar with totally legit legends.
exactly. Yeah.
Mhm.
Dravora.
I kind of want to be fancy, but I don't think I should be fancy, so I won't be fancy.
Why not?
Because it will screw you. Yeah, that's not the best idea to do in this situation. So I think we'll just. Well, I've shoved it off me as it was trying to claw and come at me. I'll take a swing at it. Also occurs to me, Aaron, you should have shot twice, but you didn't.
This hits. This hits the zombo. This damages the zombo.
Good, good.
Was that magical damage?
It is, yes.
Okay.
And we.
All done?
No, do that again. Thank you very much.
Oh, okay. Go for it. That hits. See, I'm not the only one with good rolls.
I mean, they're going alright today. Bear in mind that's +8. That was actually a 13 and an 11.
Oh, okay. Add 2. Quick maths. Alright, is that your turn?
I think it's gonna be seem a bit strange, but I'm gonna move to here.
Okay.
I get you.
So I like skirt around it,
Okay.
and then that'll be 10.
Zomble turn. Towel Zomble. Towel Zomble is angered. You have damaged the towel. So Towel Zomble is going to try and hit Dravora. It was hitting Dravora before. Dravora's still next to it. That's what it wants to do with its life.
That is not
miss.
gonna hit.
No. I don't know.
Well, she was a little too, disturbed. So, last time she forgot her second attack, but she's gonna do them both this.
Okay, one of those hits.
Alright. Here it comes.
Pew. Towel Zomble is very upset.
Haha.
Its sadness pleases me.
Yes.
It hasn't managed to hit anyone yet, and it would do so much damage if it did, but it just hasn't managed it.
Is it attacking with its towel?
It's attacking with a second towel.
Oh god.
Okay.
Advanced towlomancy.
It's got a towel wrapped around it and like tied, and then it's wielding 2 towels. The most damaging weapon. They're not magic. The most damaging weapons that you've seen in this game so far.
This is viscerally upsetting.
Yeah. Yeah.
This is a serious game for serious people.
Of course.
Iona, is that your turn?
Yep, that's it.
Singebeard.
Gonna go bonk it with my hammer.
Okay, you do that. Don't let anyone stop you.
Except the dice gods. They are not interested in bonking.
Oh.
Nope.
Nuffle says no.
Nuffle says no.
Hakeem.
All right. So I'm going to move here, and I'm going to attempt to hit it. I don't know what the stats of this axe are. I don't know if
Just
you...
roll like a regular axe attack, and then
Okay.
I'll sort it.
All right. That is
This-
probably a miss.
That is a miss.
All right.
You're not used to this new axe. It's a beautiful dwarven made axe, but you're just not used to it.
Mhm. Fair enough. That is my turn.
Can't
Dravora.
hit a fucking zombie.
Right, I think now
Put
that
Towel Zombie out of its misery, please.
I think now that we're oh, fine, I won't be fancy. Boop. That tends to miss though, isn't it?
You get a second attack.
Yeah.
Mhm.
18.
Okay.
18 hits. 18
Starting to get
hits, Towel
embarrassing.
Zombie.
12 more points of your finest damage.
That is your finest murder for Towel Zombie.
The Tau Zombie does not get an elaborate description about the Tau Zombie, how that is finished. It is just hit and a final blow, and it crumbles to the ground in a pile of towels, and we all sort of...
Move on and never speak of it again.
Yes.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
exactly.
Towel Zombie is dead. Good job. And you don't hear any other rustling and shuffling from nearby. Towel Zombie was alone for some reason.
All right. I guess I put my new battle axe away and resolve to try again some other time.
Slightly unimpressed with it.
I'll get used to it.
Poke my head into the shower just in case there's anything interesting.
Yeah, it's another little sauna. Just 2 little saunas.
Yeah, there's nothing of note at all.
Nope.
Okay.
There's the sauna.
Alright, almost done.
Just those last few doors that need lockpicking.
Then I am going to rest. Get this done.
This one here. We'll wait for a not quite heavily laden down Akeem, but
He's pretty heavily laden. Like he's at the point where, like, if he took on much more weight, he would not be moving.
just glance back at
Yes, eyes upon you. Where is... That's 54.
oh, I don't know why. You should have rolled that, not me. It's your thing.
No, you can have it.
Well, that's only a 10.
I know. That's the first time it's rolled a 1.
I know. This is the first time you've done bad lock picking. But yes, you do pick the lock. It's just you completely mash the door in the process. So there's gonna be no like salvageable wood from it or anything. The door's just trashed.
Mm-hmm.
So what I've done here is just eviscerate a door rather than picking a lock.
Yeah. Not that you were normally particularly precise, but normally you'd kind of smash the lock out and leave the door like
Still,
Just
like,
about functional.
on hinges. And
on hinges and
Oh.
functional. That was some precise lock picking before. This
Yeah.
time door's just gone.
It's stepping.
So you find this room even more impressive desk than the scholars room. There's like a long bench all along the southern wall. You all know which way south is, of course. Along the southern wall, and this time it's covered in possibly slightly more recognizable types of
Aha.
experiments. You find all kinds of little vials and concoctions. They've got some like tiny little coal fueled little mini stoves, and they've got lots of small barrels stacked up underneath the bench. And the whole room smells even more strongly than the rest of the fortress like booze. And you do notice 2 dead dwarves in here, but beyond that you notice, and it's quite easy to notice because the walls are fairly plain, you notice that the back of the hands of the dwarves are, clear. There's no wounds or sores or anything on the back of these dwarves' hands, and you notice on one of the walls are scored tally marks. And tally marks numbering 8.
Well, if I were going to lock myself in a room and hide away from the rest of the fortress, there's worse ones to do it in.
Yeah, the 2 little rooms to the north are bedrooms.
Well, at least they seem to find something nice to drink to help it along.
I might take a bit more of a poke around in this room, see if they've left anything like notes or if any of this booze is, well, I assume booze is drinkable. So I'd like to just investigate the bedrooms and see if I can find anything of note.
There's actually very little documentation, and there's not a lot of, there's not really much written anything. It looks as though they didn't really document the methods they used for their booze. That could be for a variety of reasons. You don't know why, it's not obvious why immediately. But it is quite possible to sort of piece together their process or what they were experimenting with from all of the little vials and flasks and tools left on the desk. For example, you notice in one of them you've got what appears to be now some very, very old mead, but aging in different barrels. So you've got booze aging in the same booze but different barrels. And you've got sort of you'll have a few in a row that are very similar with very subtle differences, and you're not quite sure where in the process those came in. And there's sort of weird little filters, and there's stuff getting infused with other stuff, which by now is obviously very over-infused. A lot of it seems to have been drunk, which you might not expect for experiment booze.
Looks like they probably drank it when they were stuck in here. Again, can't blame the poor bastards.
Definitely just brewing. It's nothing potion-y, is it?
Not that I can immediately tell. I mean, feel free to try some of this booze and be sure. I feel like maybe we should all check it out, just to make sure it isn't accidentally potions.
Pick up the nearest container, give it a sniff.
Smells like nice booze.
Shrug, give it a taste.
It's a very it's whatever it is. It's been infusing with some kind of herb, and it is now infused for how many hundreds of years. It is very infused. It's very strong. It's kind of nice though. It works. It's a nice flavor, but it's just way too much of that nice flavor.
Give it a second, a third taste, just to make sure.
Yeah. Yeah, you better keep trying, just in case it's poisoned.
Ooh, well, that's... I don't think it was meant to sit for that long, but that's rather good.
Could be a healing potion.
Do I get
We'll definitely have to...
No. You can keep drinking it just in case you do.
We should definitely come back for these.
Yes, we should.
You think they were working on
Working on a cure for something.
the...
Bad days.
What do you think the tally was?
What do you guess how long they were in here?
Yes, probably in days, I imagine. 8 days seems... Katie, do I know how long a dwarf can last without food?
I think kind of like humans, I guess it depends how malnourished the dwarf already is.
But 8 days doesn't sound out of the question.
8 days doesn't sound out of the question for if they were already... Well, you kind of would expect most dwarves to last more like maybe a fortnight, maybe even 3 weeks without food.
Mhm.
Just most like normal healthy dwarves. So these dwarves, yeah, they probably didn't last quite as long as you expected.
Hmm.
So it's possible they were already, underfed to begin with.
Well, maybe it's 8 days. Maybe it's something else. No way to know without asking them.
They don't look like they're talking.
No. Maybe that's a thing that I should consider looking into. I remember hearing some songs once about people who could sing to the dead and receive answers.
Mhm.
It's doable. I maybe ask me when I've had some sleep.
Well, that sounds terribly useful.
Well, for the moment, I suppose there's not much to do other than press on and check out these last few rooms.
Yeah,
Slow,
I'm just
sad
gonna draw-
placing.
We can come
I'm
back.
gonna draw
Don't
a
worry, we
bird
can come back
next-
for this.
I want to draw a bird next to the tally.
Are you drawing it on the stone with like charcoal, or are you like scratching it into the stone with some carving tools?
I've got some charcoal.
Yeah, okay. You do a nice little picture of a bird next to the tallies. How's the bird? Is it a bird or is it an aarakocra?
It's a little pigeon.
A little pigeon.
Mm.
A little pigeon next to the tallies.
Makes the room just a little happier.
Put the bottle I've been carrying that I couldn't quite bring myself to put down next to the door, so I pick up the bit.
Bottle in one hand, pick in the other. It's classic.
The proper
Pick
dwarven
that.
way of doing things.
That's how all the miners did it back in your fortress.
So the final bit of picking is going to
Once more. How you spun you?
Ah, yeah.
20.
Now you pick the lock. You
Clearly, it was a
beautifully-
booze deficiency last time.
Yeah, that's what went wrong before. This is how dwarves mine.
pick
You
back up,
pick that lock,
bottle back up.
and
walk.
the room opens to. There's kind of the room, like all the furniture, sort of. It's fairly standard to what you've seen before, but can I have maybe a perception check?
Sure.
Meh.
Yeah. Just to see how much you will see in this room.
Where are you? There you are.
Okay, Singebeard and Iona. I've just the Iona's got the eagle eye thing going on.
Mm-hmm.
Singebeard's just really switched on. Drivora and Nakim a little bit tipsy, a little bit tired. But the other two are really switched on. So what you've got here is 2 bedrooms and then a main living room with kind of a table, some chairs. It's maybe a little bit more spacious than what you've seen. But what you notice is that, so most of the beds in here, they've kind of had well, some of them have been wooden, but a lot of them had like a stone base and then maybe some wooden bits in the middle. But most of them have been sort of, you can see under them. They'll sometimes have little trunks and things under them. But this one's actually got like a solid looking base to it, a solid looking wooden base to the bed. And like with your perception, it's kind of built to, it's not completely to the ground, but it looks as though basically they've got a little hiding space under, like within, built into the bed, kind of underneath where a mattress would be, into the bed on this far room. And you also notice kind of something similar going on with the table. So there's a lot of like carpenter's tools scattered around this room as well, and yeah, the table's got a sort of unnecessary depth to it that could just be a really solid table, or it could be a hiding place.
I want to go collapse on the bed.
Okay, You go lie on the bed. It's not that comfy.
Yeah. Aw. I get up disappointed.
It throws herself on the bed. 2 seconds later, just sits up, being like, "This is not a bird bed. Dwarves do not understand comfort."
It's too short.
Imagine dwarves like really hard beds as well, and birds are the opposite.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's the case.
Do
I
you
reckon a lot of the
guys-
dwarf beds you've come across are like just slabs of stone.
Do you guys tell us what you notice?
Mm-hmm. Cinchbit goes over to the desk and just like tapping it.
Mm-hmm.
Something
Oh.
older.
Maybe looks a bit thick to me.
You think there might be something inside?
Maybe.
Do you want me to see if I can figure out a way to open it?
Sure.
There's always Plan B.
Let's yes, let's not resort to plan B just yet. Might be
No,
something
that's-
valuable in here.
That's why it's Plan B, not A.
Katie, I'd like to sort of, I don't know, go over the table, sort of investigate,
Yeah.
and see if I can
Yeah,
figure out some kind of
investigate.
like switch or.
Investigate looking for like crack. It's not all one solid piece of wood, so you can look for like. Yeah, you find a few spots. There's like some. There's definitely it's not one bit of wood. You can see there's like kind of seams and things. Maybe like things that kind of feel a little bit loose against each other. And you kind of you fiddle around cautiously with the sides for a little while, and then at one point you kind of grab hold of the flat bit that comprises the very top of the table, and you just lift and it just comes off. Just the whole
Oh.
top of the table comes off, and it opens up, and inside you can see it's there's this kind of like it's one big compartment, and inside you have mostly like there's firstly there's a few notes, which I need to pull up my notes on. I need my notes on the notes. Can't find my notes on the notes. So you find notes that describe. Hold on, I'm gonna make new notes on the notes.
Yo, dog.
You find so firstly there's like a small bag that seems looks like it's money. It's probably money. There's a money pouch. It's moderately sized money pouch. Looks pretty full. And then you find like there's kind of a little stack of documents. And it describes a few stages, and it kind of goes through things in a lot of detail, and I'm just going to paraphrase them for you. So it describes a kind of process with steps. So the first like steps are to apparently I'm going to type this up so I can send it to you all. Is to honor the ones. The first step is to honor the ones that came before. The second step is to prove your might by slaying a great beast. And then you must prove yourself by forging. Oh, sorry. This is what I get for writing up as I go. So I've done these in the wrong order. Okay. Sorry. If you just give me a minute, I'll write these up, get them all in
Sure.
the right order, and then send
That's
them to you.
alright.
That's
Talk
okay.
amongst
Take as long as you
yourselves.
need.
I'm glad that no one was hiding in the table.
It
Sounded
was a
vaguely like
zombie. Table zombie. Sorry, nearly that. Okay. It describes these easy steps, along with notes on how whoever this is planned to achieve those things. Kind of like, sort of like some speculative ideas. So they've kind of got one page. Have the blessing of a god. And then they've got a few ideas like sacrifice to this god. You know, maybe this god, you know, has some followers, you know, nearby. Maybe I can talk to them. Talk to the priests. Honor the ones that came before. They don't have a tremendous amount of notes on. Just, you know, that one seems to be fairly straightforward to whoever made these notes. Prove yourself by forging your blade. This is kind of like, again, this is kind of notes on, they're not really worried about the forging part. They're worried about where do I source like the highest quality materials, and there seems to be a little talk of like fortress politics of like, oh, this person owes me a favor, and you know, they're related to this person. Prove your might by slaying a great beast with the blade. There's like not a lot of notes for this one again. Just more like speculation on you know, it's like the notes are something like, I don't need to bring a beast, like it'll be summoned for me, and they can summon different things, whoever they are, and yeah, then be deemed worthy by the old ones. This one seems to be the bit that's causing a lot of angst. A lot of it is circled, and it's kind of talking about like what it can do with the living. Apparently there's like, it looks as though they're talking about a group of people, and some of them will judge on virtue and some of them are kind of a bit arbitrary. So it's talking about like what's worked from looking at historical records, like this person likes this thing, and I've lost my notes on this, so I don't have that in great detail for you, but if the time comes that you want it, I will provide it.
Do we know what this process is, like the goal of it is, like what it's to achieve?
No, it doesn't explain what the...
It just kind of
the
assumes you
ending.
already know.
Yeah, so a lot of these read like someone's notes to themselves.
Yeah.
Like probably the sort of thing that shouldn't be written down, but has been. And yeah, these are kind of notes someone has made for themselves. And you do find stashed in this table a few non-magical forged swords. Some of them are a bit rubbish, some of them are pretty nice.
Well, this is curious.
We see something about this before.
Did we?
Do we?
I don't know.
Seems like
Not
we
that I
have to me.
What are you thinking?
It rings a bell.
Or some sort of ritual to prove themselves worthy?
Maybe.
Well, I mean, we found a great beast.
Okay.
Wasn't there a mural somewhere?
I don't know.
Oh, you know, there might have been.
There were a lot.
Why? What are you thinking?
Oh, I'm just remembered this from somewhere.
Did you want to do it?
No.
Hmm.
No, I just...
Well, tell you what, I'll gather these up, and if we come across anything that it might match, then we can compare more directly.
Mm-hmm.
Right, sure.
Besides, I don't think the
Okay.
old ones are around anymore.
I guess.
Well, I hope
Hmm.
not, unless there's something else.
Well, what about the beds?
What about the beds?
What about the beds?
Weren't they like the table?
Huh. You're right, yes. This has some sort of wooden bottom to it.
Hmm.
You want to see if we can lever this up with something?
Go for it.
Okay, you can lever this up in a similar manner to how you can kind of lift the top of the table, and great craftsmanship. It sort of smoothly opens, and so again, it's got a sort of thicker bottom base to it than you'd normally see, and inside this one is ping ping ping.
Ah,
It's a magic, very very shiny, just beautiful. Beautiful craftsmanship, but not dwarven craftsmanship. Shield.
well, this is very interesting. It's
Shiny.
magical.
Looks weird.
Let's see.
It's very shiny and silver. It's like you can see your reflection in it.
Looks awfully like
Can
it was
I-
made by someone sober.
Can I tell who made this? Even like if it wasn't dwarves.
The craftsmanship it's actually like it's distinctly a non-familiar style to you.
Okay.
Like a non-familiar method of you haven't seen anything made in a similar way
Mhm.
to this.
Do I know what metal it's made out of?
It looks as though
Actually, what I'll do is I'll turn to Singebeard and ask what metal is this made out of.
Take it. Hold it up. Give it a tap. Do I know what metal it's made out of?
looks like it's made out of iron.
Just iron.
Just iron.
Oh,
Very shiny. But
well, enchanted. Well, this is definitely worth bringing with us. Who wants to carry it?
I'll take it.
Well, okay.
well, it's enough if you want.
Yeah. I want to hang it up on my wall.
It's a shield. It's not for walls.
Yes, it is. Look at it. It's perfect.
Tell you what, we'll add it to the pile first. And then we'll see how its enchantment holds up in there.
Straight up onto the wall.
Right.
Let's see what it does first, eh?
Fine. And then it goes up on the wall.
I think we've all, at some point, worked out that when you're having an argument with Iona, you let Iona get the last word and just ignore it.
Mhm.
Okay, are
Right.
we done?
Definitely not. There's no, you people with a good eye, you didn't see anything else here? There's not like a, I don't know, a garden hole hidden in the ceiling? Like at that point that Iona was staring at the ceiling, being like, Right, well, in that case,
That looks like everything.
let's get
Yeah.
everything back to, where we know is safe, and or at least around other people, and sort everything out.
Well, we've got one more thing first, though.
Oh, that's right.
This corridor here looks like it's been barricaded.
We've been on the other
You have
side.
you've been around the other side of this.
Oh right. Oh, okay. Well, should we just dismantle this barricade while we're here?
Yeah,
Might
you
as
can
well.
just quickly dismantle.
Puts down the drink.
It doesn't take long to dismantle it. It's not a particularly competent barricade.
Okay. All right. Time to get back, I suppose.
Alrighty. Oh. Everyone a little bit tired, a little bit battered, probably running low on arrows. Some of us.
You started this in the
Injuries.
evening. The sun is now rising.
I think
Oh,
we
no.
started like quite early in. We started, I remember, like in the afternoon or something, because like we
It
slept. at a
started
weird-
about 8 p.m. maybe
Oh yeah, we
9.
started at the evening because we slept all day to get a long rest
Yeah.
first.
Yeah,
So I guess the sun is rising.
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
because obviously we're taking time searching rooms. Every 10 minutes is another 10 minutes.
So we know why
Ritual
we're walking this
casting.
slowly.
There could be a horrible ambush waiting for us.
Oh look, there's a
Well,
horrible
well,
ambush.
All our dwarves could have.
It's your dwarves. Your loyal, loyal dwarves.
Everything else this way.
Look at me. My labels are on the GM layer.
Are they?
Yes. This was I believe this was Scott's labels.
Oh, I see. Right.
Yeah,
Oh.
that sounds about right.
You are all welcome to label the map.
Okay.
Probably would have been a good idea to do this whole time.
Yeah, it would have been.
Yeah,
I
that
didn't
would have
think
been
to
a
do it.
really good idea if I know we could do that.
That sounds like not in 8's problem.
Alright, this room is still fairly full of rubble, but it sounds like everything's been going fine while you're away. And so they've currently got enough people set to gathering, and even a few of the wounded have started to recover.
That's good.
They're making pretty good progress now that they're indoors, being fed, somewhere warm.
So I think once we're back in what I'm going to refer to as civilization, we're going to
Mhm.
have a look for Admin Dwarf.
Admin Dwarf is bustling up to you right now,
Yes.
concerned and fussing a little bit when she sees all of your injuries. Oh gosh, are you okay? Are you fine? Are you? Let me see those. We've got medical dwarves. They can help you. I'm sure. I think we've managed to find some herbs. I don't know what any of them do, but they might help.
Hold.
Some
Oh, I've got
rest
the
would
medicine, I
certainly
need
be
right here.
appreciated.
Finish this bottle.
Some rest. Perfect. Is it all safe?
We've cleared out everything we could find. We've dismantled a bunch of barricades. We've knocked down some locked doors. We did as thorough an investigation as we could, and we think there's a lot of corpses through there. I'll be honest with you. It's not pleasant.
So if you're gonna go rest, then while you rest, we could start removing another barricade in another direction, or we could start getting rid of the corpses. I don't think we've really got enough dwarves to do both and do all the foraging, and there's all the planting going on outside that the elves are doing with the fields.
Well, you know, maybe my memory's letting me down, but aren't we supposed to be having a visitor soon?
We should probably tidy up in anticipation.
Well, I was mostly thinking I don't want to dig open a barricade if we're gonna have to leave to sort something outside.
That's a good point.
Mhm.
Be much more comfortable when those corpses are rested proper.
That
Mhm.
too. So, well, that's what I'd say.
Handle with care.
Worth noting, most of the corpses appear to have succumbed to whatever illness took this place. So, again, be careful handling them. But there are some corpses that are sort of to the northeast of here. They're clad in very fancy armor, which we may want to retrieve at some point once they've been
Yes.
laid to rest.
Those ones in particular need a proper rest.
Proper burial, all the trimmings.
But
Okay.
let's rest first.
All right, should we bury them all, or should we burn them?
I don't think did we find? I don't think we found what their funeral practices were, unless
More
maybe we did.
comfortable if they were burnt.
Were there
Mhm.
any when we arrived? Were there any indications of graves or a graveyard in the area?
There are no indications of graves outside the fortress except for the one you dug for Peaky.
Mhm.
Hmm.
Well,
It's possible they have tombs somewhere else in the fortress.
Well, as much as I don't like it, I think maybe all the disease ones we have to sort of burn to get rid of them.
Yeah, and we should burn them outside as well.
Aye.
But
Some
not the,
distance away.
not the ones guarding the door, though. They get a
No.
proper funeral.
Mm-hmm.
Their corpses won't be getting any worse, so... They did have tombs somewhere, we may be able to find them.
Right. Any other questions?
No, we can do that. We'll do that. You have a rest. You have a rest.
Combined grumbling from like the people that got like attacked by the owlbear.
Where's the blasted bedrolls?
So through to the left was where everyone was staying.
Yeah.
Through here.
Right. You folk pour a pile of the things down when we sleep. I'll look at them over when I've had some damned rest.
Oh, that works, that works. I think, like, she swigs the bottle that she's holding a bit, and there's a little bit of liquid left, and we'll just hand that over to, like, Sindbad.
Try back for that. Think.
There's a few mouthfuls left of that. She's now slightly inebriated. Bedroll. Lovely, lovely nap.
Out like a light, snoring within 5 minutes.
I mean, armor off and stuff, but yes.
I mean, yes, but...
Okay. Is everyone going straight to bed, I assume?
I think that's the plan.
Yeah.
Okay.
Although I hate to ask this.
Are you identifying items?
I'm doing that when I wake up.
All right. Okay. That seems reasonable.
Said form a
you
pile in the
honestly-
corner, I'm going quick.
Okay. I'll do a quick inventory of everything we
Yeah.
got, and then we can do it in the morning.
I just want to point out, we all like lay down where there's the nice like empty space, like properly spaced, and then like Iona comes in later and just lies directly between Singebeard and Moss, and they're just like, yay, cuddle pile. So like wake up and
Obviously.
there's a bird like sprayed out like probably like a wing over like, or just like both encroaching on our personal space.
Do the Aarakocra in your fortress nest?
Typically.
Important question. Typically nest.
Do you like sleep in
Just
bedrolls? Do you
curious.
just like, how do you sleep?
She sleeps next to Uncle.
I see.
Uh-huh.
Fortunately, Singebeard sleeps like the dead.
Hmm.
Plus, a loud, snoring dead, but
I think a significant amount of wounds will do that to a person.
Mm-hmm.
Like Devora has a couple of major wounds and then about like just 15 minor wounds and a particularly nasty one with necrotic damage on her side. It's just like, yes.
Oh, Katie, there is one thing I'd like to do before I sleep.
Yes.
I would like to cast Detect Thoughts,
Okay.
and I would like to use Detect Thoughts to just generally see how everyone is doing emotionally. Like if like what sort of people's surface thoughts are.
Okay.
Just all of the dwarves in the fortress, without having to like go through and interview them.
Okay. So just a quick like detect thoughts on the dwarves of the fortress. You've kind of got mostly the wounded around you at the moment.
Mm-hmm.
But there are fewer of them, and a lot of them are starting to feel better. The general mood among the fortress is kind of optimistic. Some of the dwarves that are like tasked to clearing out the bodies, you've got about 8 dwarves and Aarakocra are tasked with clearing out bodies over the kind of that are now being shuffled into place by Stegeth, and they seem not entirely pleased by their task, and it's also, it's a little bit concerning to be clearing out a big pile of bodies right before you move in somewhere. It doesn't look great. So they're a little bit more worried, but the general mood is pretty optimistic.
Okay.
All right.
Okay, and then we sleep, I guess.
Mhm.
Enjoy a long rest. Get our HP back. We get our spell slots back.
You do the long rest.
Does that get rid of the HP malice? Can't remember.
Yes, it does. Your hit points have recovered.
Good. Just like that.
Spells.
Yeah, this is gonna take me a bit because I need to work some stuff out now.
Bardic Inspiration. Second Wind. Wonderful.
Back. Hit dice are back.
Half your hit die back, so you'll get 2 back.
Yes, but yeah, I know. But I need to do it.
It's a thing I forget constantly.
Scroll down. And then
Eric has to pick exactly what spells they're preparing. for
yeah,
the long
I'm trying to
rest.
remember how many I know.
I believe it's your cleric level plus your spellcasting
I
modifier.
believe that's right.
Assuming you behave like druids.
Probably. Yeah, wisdom plus cleric level, which is now 8.
If you have 16 wisdom
Yeah.
or 17 wisdom, you can prepare 8 spells. They can
Oh,
all be
that's-
3rd level if you want.
Let's drop you. You don't count.
Oh, I should. probably
And
put my
we
spells down.
recover half of our hit dice.
That's a good point. I need to
Right.
prepare my spells because I have spells.
8. Oh, I quite like
And everyone loses any temporary hit points you currently.
Paladins, I think, get less. That's probably that, but half. That's fine. I'm not gonna lie. I'm gonna prepare for Steed. Shamelessly so.
You're gonna summon a steed in the middle of the fortress.
Well, no, but we might go outside soon, and I want to have my good boy.
Fair enough.
Where does the list of how many? I can
likely to
prepare?
be.
I can have
that.
charisma plus paladin level rounded down, which is going to be 2, 7. Oh no, it's 1, 2, but then plus 3, 4, so I get 4 spells. Fucking like the prepared spellcasters being all like, we just pour over my tomes.
It's like, what are we likely to do tomorrow? Are we likely to get into a fight or not?
You nerds preparing spells.
Goodbye, blessed. Hello, lesser restoration and fine steed. Which is probably awful because I shouldn't have 2 second level spells, but let's be real here with it. I don't care.
Probably don't need you at the moment.
Do I want lesser restoration? It might be worth having just to have. Look on the bright side. It's not 3rd edition where we have to like prepare a spell per spell slot, including.
Oh yeah.
Like yes, I want a 5th. I want to put. And one of these spell slots is a maximized fireball. That goes in 6.
Mhm.
That was an experience.
Yeah, let's keep that one.
Wasn't that bad. You just kind of prepare lists of like, oh, this is what I typically prepare.
It was that bad when you liked meta magic as much as I did.
Oh, then that's fair enough.
Ooh, maybe I want to prepare that spell. That's
Yeah, let's do that. Let's do that.
Just see like the archer's eyes glazing over, and being happy that they're not playing a spellcaster.
Yep.
To be fair,
We're all a
we're
little
like
bit magic.
it's true. We are all a little bit magic. We
Mhm.
all have some spells.
The real magic is your friendship.
Yeah.
Oh.
My little dwarfy,
No,
my little dwarfy.
no.
No.
But we have derpy wings.
It's at times like this I really wish that I could smite.
I was really hoping you were going to say it's times like this. I really wish I had a beer.
I mean, that is also true.
No beer, only beard.
Hashtag beards, not beards.
Hashtag both.
Yeah, we'll keep less restoration. It's useful. I'm good.
Casey, can I be a bit cheeky and ask if my background feature will give me any more info on this process thing?
You may.
So my background thing is this. And so obviously I don't know what it's like referring to, but like, do I have any idea who,
Oh yeah.
like,
Yeah.
who I might ask, or if there's somewhere I might start investigating?
About what specifically?
About
There's quite a few.
what this
leads.
process as a whole might be related to, or like might be attempting to achieve.
Okay. So it looks as though like from what you've seen about the process, it looks like something that is kind of tied to this fortress.
Mm-hmm.
So it looks as though it's probably that through sort of experimentation and exploring the fortress, that's probably where you'll
Okay.
obtain more information most easily
Cool.
about
That makes
most
sense.
fortress things.
Mhm.
The alternative is to see if there are any settlements nearby that have survived sort of the whole since this fortress was alive, and then if anyone there remembers or documented anything about it.
Right, which does seem a bit unlikely.
Those are your sort of two routes for most fortress stuff.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
Okay. So you've all woken up. You're all a little bit out of sync. You've kind of slept for a lot of the day. It's now kind of maybe early evening. You've woken up a little bit early, kind of ready to like try and shift your bodies back to normal. Not that dwarves necessarily follow a particularly circadian rhythm, especially the ones that don't go outside.
Yeah, I think definitely with Devore, she's used to spending like most of her life not just in the fortress, but in the areas below the fortress, digging out new mines. From her time as an ironclad, so the whole you sleep when you have time and you don't when you don't is rather than the sun is I think her default.
Yeah.
The
that
whole
makes
like
sense.
sun saying, "Hey, you can't sleep now. It's bloody bright," was probably very disconcerting for the months of travel.
I would imagine.
Hmm.
Very inconvenient.
So I think
Okay.
Yup.
So
Yup,
yeah,
it's
you will wake up.
as we've woken up,
Progress has been made while you were asleep.
we have a giant pile of magical items,
Yes, you do.
and we have a nerd with a pearl. Who would win, one anciently created magical dwarven artifact or one pearly boy?
Okay. Someone's going to need to take notes on this, but here we go.
Okay, I will paste things into chat as appropriate.
Alright.
I will,
Let's-
while you are doing this, I will see about breakfast and like
Yeah, I'm having breakfast
some sort
first.
of like hot drink
Should-
or something.
Should we do person by person?
Yeah,
Okay.
people know what they were carrying.
Cool. Can I volunteer to be first?
Yes, you can.
Sorry, I'm so curious as to what this
Yeah,
shit
no,
is.
that's absolutely
Okay.
fine. It's 11 minutes of ritual per thing, so I'm going to be doing this for like 2 hours or something.
You might be at it for longer.
Yeah, so someone's going to have to bring me some fucking breakfast.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Okay, what's going first?
the first thing that I have is a what I have in my list is a necrotic dagger.
Okay. Let me find. Sorry, it's gonna be a lot of flicking. Oh, I'll need that. Bookmark that. Hold on. So that's one of your other items that I've just found. I can't find the like. I rinse it out loud because that's not helpful.
Sorry, Katie,
Sorry.
but you knew this was coming.
No, I brought this on myself.
Thou madest thy bed, and it is thine duty to lie upon it.
I'm trying to find like a thing that I knew where all this was, and I've just like lost it. Which is great.
It's got plus 12 to hit and does 60,000 damage.
Yeah, maybe not.
This is while I'm using it. That's how I roll.
It's a dagger. It gives you the DM's roll
Ah,
up.
okay.
Jesus, that's okay.
Let's see. Yeah, so you've got the necrotic dagger. It's very cold to the touch, and as you identify it, it's like an elemental necrotic damage thing. Basically, it's not cursed, but it's pretty shady.
Mm-hmm.
There's possibly some like religious ties going on there. Like if it's like divine necrotic.
Okay.
If you, I assume you're all spending the time to look at this enough. Someone give me like a religion check.
It's probably me, isn't it?
I would have thought maybe it's...
There we go.
Oh yeah, it's Ugeth. It's like 300% Ugeth. That's like an Ugeth dagger. She's got a necrotic dagger, which makes sense because she's all about disease and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So this is just like, it does bonus necrotic damage, extra 1d4 necrotic damage when you hit.
Okay.
Cool. And it
And also-
presumably it counts as magical for the purposes of like
Yes.
overcoming DR, that sort of thing. Cool.
Magical
Yeah.
dagger, bonus 1d4.
Magic
Well,
bonus
yeah.
1d4 of Ugeth.
Cool.
So,
The next
Don't
one
make her mad.
is this magical battle axe.
Magical battle axe. I'm finding the thing. Okay, this magical battle axe, it's just like a really nice dwarven battle axe. It's just a +1.
+1 battle axe.
It is +1 nice dwarven battle axe, but it is magic.
Yeah.
It's
Cool.
infused with magic to give it the +1, but not a particular.
Hey, that's fine.
Does it have any like particular? Sorry. Does it have any particular like detailing on it, or anything that would like mark it out as like, I don't know, having any engravings or anything similar on it?
So there's some kind of like very stylized runes around the handle. It's very like, yeah, it's obviously dwarven in construction, and then there are some nice runes around the handle,
Mhm.
which dedicate it to. Hold on, where are they? So yeah, there's kind of a little like, one of the very stylized runes. Now that you're looking at it, kind of reads as, there's like a mention of Bom, the dwarf god of labor and crafts, just like engraved into it, and the rest of it sort of, it seems to be like asking her for it to strike true, and but it doesn't appear to be a particularly religious kind of magic. It's just the craftsman's quite into that goddess.
Cool. All right. Next item is there are two of these. The 2 copper rings. These are the ones that were radiating abjuration magic.
Yes, hold on. I have to try and remember which ones these were, because I helpfully didn't write it down for myself. I've written like half of these down.
I think we got these
Thanks.
from the jeweler's room.
Yeah, from the jeweler's room, where he had a selection. Let me just find. So, one of them is a ring of mind shielding.
Ooh. Ooh.
Interesting.
That's incredibly useful.
And one, let me see. Yeah. One is, it doesn't contain, like, it's got nothing stored in it,
Mhm.
but it is a ring of spell storing.
Oh my god, these are great.
I know. Past me was very generous.
Yeah. Cool. Next one on my list is the Liar,
The liar.
which is probably
yes.
cursed.
The lying liar that lies.
Because it made me
The
bleed
lying
from my
liar
ears
that
when I played
lies.
it.
So this is an instrument of the bards. So it's an exquisite example of its kind,
Mhm.
superior to an ordinary instrument in every way. And let's see, yes, and if you try and play it without being attuned, you must succeed on a wisdom saving throw or take psychic damage.
Ah, I see. Okay.
You can use an action to play the instrument and cast one of its spells. Once the instrument has been used to cast a spell, it can't be used to cast that spell again until the next dawn.
Mm-hmm. So this is the stone shape wall of fire wind wall one.
I'm sorry, what?
Yes, this is the stone-shaped wall of fire.
Holy balls!
Yep.
Sorry, what?
Welcome to the instruments of the bards, like, ladies and gents. This is
They're
a
crazy.
That's things yeah.
Did you just say that
This is
3 4th level spells?
it has it can only cast one of those spells per day. But yes, basically.
Okay.
Pretty intense.
And because it's an instrument, it also counts as a spellcasting focus for me, which is wonderful. And when you use the instrument to cast a spell that causes targets to become charmed on a failed save, the targets have disadvantage on the saving throw. That's fun.
Nice. That's a bit good.
it's very good.
I've just read the note in the chat, and I'm unsurprised even slightly. I think I have one more magical thing, which is the magical necklace, which we found in the aristocrat's bedroom, I think, but I could be wrong about that.
Aristocrat's bedroom necklace. This is not in my notes. Sorry, I've got no idea what this is because it isn't in my
Alright,
notes.
I will
So
go
we're
back
gonna-
and check. Oh yeah, so there was a locked chest which contained nice clothing. Yeah, that was an aristocrat's room.
Yeah.
This was nearby to the tied up zombie girl.
Yeah, I'm on board. I'm just trying to find what it was. I remember. Sorry, this is a lot of me flicking through. Book. Yeah, this one was a amulet of proof against detection and location.
Oh, that's nice.
So you can't get scryed while you have it.
I like the idea that this is just... You just build up the most paranoid dwarf. You can't see my thoughts, you can't scry me, I'm going to sit in my box and no one knows where I am.
This is the Paranoid Dwarf's toolkit.
It's perfect.
Almost like a lot of the dwarves in this fortress were paranoid for some reason. I don't know.
I mean, who can say?
I did
Paranoid
write down
enough.
what the rings were.
So that is my list of magical shit, I believe.
Okay. That was 66 minutes.
Yes,
Keeping mental track.
we are getting through these very slowly.
I apologize.
No, I mean,
No, I mean
OC,
in
not OC.
IC time.
Yeah.
It's 11
Right, this
minutes
has taken
per.
us an hour.
Just as like and that's
Wow.
assuming I'm like functioning as like an automated thing, moving items in front of a scanner.
I think
The other's just feeding you booze and.
Devora has
Topping
able
up with
sourcing
booze
you
and-
breakfast. I think Devora has sourced you a bit of meat. Maybe there's a bit of that venison left.
Mhm.
Mm.
'Cause I think
And the vegetables.
I mean, presumably. Well, you got
Yeah,
more
yeah,
vegetables
dwarves are
because we
gathering.
know that like you're a vegetarian.
Hmm.
But I assume meat is slightly rarer and perhaps a bit nicer. I think we all deserve a bit of a nice breakfast today.
Mm-hmm.
Alright, I'm gonna do the one thing I have now, before I forget it,
Uh-huh.
which is the magical pickaxe.
Magical pickaxe. It functions kind of like a regular pickaxe, but you know when you hold it, you know how far you are underground, and you know a sort of a rough direction that will lead you up to the surface, and you can also sense ore nearby. And sensing the ore, that's kind of like that's a skill that you'll kind of like need to learn by using it. Like if you used it a lot for a while, you'd probably be able to tell what the types of ore are. But it just kind of screams, "Oh, it's over there!" in your brain at
Okay.
you.
Nice.
Not with words.
Yeah.
It's not that kind of.
Then I have one thing, which is another pick. I'm going to assume it's the same, but I will still hand it over.
Okie dokie. Yeah, that's the same.
So it's knowing how far you are underground. It's the skill to sense ore. What was the third thing?
Rough direction.
So
up
you know
and-
how far you are underground, you know a rough direction that you can take that will lead you to the surface, and you know where ore is.
Cool. Got it. Thank you. That's the thing I had. So bird next or last.
Uncle, check out my painted glass orb.
Put it there.
Here you go.
Okay, so this is the painted glass orb. Okay, so this is a diplomat stone, and it lets you speak and understand different languages, and the languages it's attuned to are Elven, Giant, Undercommon, and Halfling.
Huh.
So it lets you speak and understand those 4 languages.
That's really interesting. That's
That
really
is-
interesting. That
that
tells us
is-
a
Yeah.
lot.
Yes, it
Brilliant,
does.
That is.
Uh-huh.
Here I thought this was just going to be a little glass. Okay.
Next, come on.
I might have got
Oh.
mixed up. I might be thinking of a different magic item, but
I
I
don't
think
know.
I need to dish that out, so it's on my list. But something was that.
Well, that was
Okay.
the thing I found in one of the things that Tiki was guarding. It was the first thing I stole.
Oh, I was thinking it was something else. I apologize. The thing you found that Piki was guarding, I don't believe that was magical.
Okay, so we just admired it for a little while.
So you just admired the painted orb for a little while.
You are
Very
gonna get
pretty.
such a glower.
This stone, it's in my list. I've said I've given it out at some point. If no one has a kind of like cut stone thing that they picked up at some point, then just someone has the diplomat stone.
It sounds like the sort of thing that Iona might have just
Sounds
picked up
like
as a
Serena would
shiny.
have grabbed it, yeah.
Iona found a shiny
I'm
thing.
completely on board.
And it
I
was
only
the
just
diplomat
pocketed
stone.
that.
Also, there's the bow.
And the
Yes,
scarf.
Iona has a bow.
and-
And
Oh, right,
The
yes.
We've already done
magnifying
the scarf.
spectacles.
The scarf. We've done the scarf. The scarf's glowing. Iona is a light source now.
We know that the
Mhm.
spectacles and the scarf we know because we attuned to them, I believe.
Oh, I
Yeah,
see.
but I bring them out so everyone could admire the thing.
Actually, that's a good point, Katie. In this setting, does attuning count as identifying, or do we just get bits of it?
I'd say. I mean, you're doing the identifying, right, with the pearl.
It's,
Right now, yes.
That's what's going on. So like these things are all identified. Attuning counting as identified, I think that would probably be like case by case. If it's something kind of obvious, then attuning would count as identifying. But if it's something like a bit niche,
Yeah.
you might be able to kind of attune to it and use it, but not be entirely aware of all of the consequences of doing so, for example.
Like things like curses might not show up on an attunement. So we're
Yeah.
identifying it.
I've got this malachite bead.
That's very pretty.
Mm-hmm.
You found all these shiny things in the. I assume you're just emptying your pockets out at the end of this this fortress trip, and you're like, here's all these like beads I found and these shiny things. And
While if that's what's happening, then while Singebeard is identifying like something that's obviously magical, I'm gonna ritual cast detect magic.
Please.
Oh yeah, so you help Iona pick out the diplomat stone from among all that like these random trinkets, and that's how you come across it.
Okay.
I think I'd like to put my hand out and ask for the diplomat stone. Do you mind if I hold on to that?
Okay. I
have
don't
a
think I'll need it.
If it's helping for talking for people, I think that, well, yes.
I understand.
Speaking of handing things out to people who need them, there are rather a number of these here. Does anyone have any particular designs on anything that
Shield?
we've gone through so far?
Well, should you check out my longbow anyway?
Yep, just keep placing it there.
Here you go.
It was Elvish, Giant, Undercommon, and which other language?
Halfling.
Halfling.
Thank you.
Alright, what's up next?
Bow.
Bow. It's a nice dwarven +1 bow.
Nothing special there.
Hooray. Well, now you can look at my action.
Shield.
Shield.
Okay, here's the
A
shield.
shield. It's like, again, it's just like, it's kind of like the dwarven ones in that it's like a bit magic. It's not a particular like, it's not too specific. It's just like it's a nice solid +1 shield. So it's +1 AC with the shield.
I'll find a good wolf.
And it's kind of similar to the dwarven ones in that it's kind of the theme is like it's good craftsmanship, just enhanced a little bit with magic, just to tip it over the edge and make it something a little special. So whilst it is not dwarven made, it is good craftsmanship.
Which of us use shields?
That would be me.
Aha. Good choice.
Providing we can pry it off a wall.
You can borrow it until I find a room.
Right.
Does anyone want this amulet that's proof against detection and location?
I guess I could use it. Enhance my...
Okay. I will hand it over.
You know, in case we're doing one of those, we're going to go have a conversation and Iona hangs back in a tree or something. And, that mean if anyone just checks if there's anyone around, they'd say they wouldn't find anyone.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think I'd fit in a tree very well.
Are we done?
That's it for me.
Sure you don't want the staff checked?
That?
Your scarf.
Scarf! Yeah, okay, you can look at it.
Might as well.
It's not cursed. It's just like a really nice quality silken translucent material scarf.
Wearing the
that
scarf
glows
slowly
a little
changes
bit.
your alignment to chaotic evil.
I don't think so.
Wearing the scarf slowly just changes your alignment to just fabulous and great looking.
Obviously.
The best
A lot of
of
work to go there then. Okay, so we have spent a degree of time with a long breakfast, got all our magical things sorted, handed out so people are happy with everything they have.
Yes, I feel like I have the lion's share of a lot of this stuff. I don't know if anyone wants to carry the necrotic dagger around.
Really more of a hammer thing.
Well, I suppose I can.
It's only fair you were stabbed with it.
It might be worthwhile, particularly if I mean, if you're unable to use both hands for whatever reason.
I suppose there are worse backup things. The fortress moves 15 feet to the
Moved
left.
the fortress by accident. Sorry.
Yeah, I'll take that. That is, let's see, necrotic dagger, and it was just plus D4 necrotic damage. Right?
Yeah, plus D4 necrotic.
Didn't have a +1 element to it.
No.
Cool. Well, I'm going to be using
It is effectively a +0 weapon.
Yeah,
I need
that's
to
what I
work with
figured.
it.
Put it away in the sheath. Eyeball it a few times. Right. So, what's the plan for this evening? Today?
Well, I need to work on this shield before I can really use it.
Make sure it's shininess.
Well, may a little. Needs a holy symbol on it.
Put it on the back or something.
No.
No, you gotta have those things bright and center.
You'll ruin it.
Nonsense.
Proper dedication to a proper god. Do the thing glory.
Took me some time. Actually, really need some smith's tools for that. Which I am lacking. So that's another hour of my time.
Right, well, while you're doing that, anything the rest of us need to do?
I'm gonna head down to the river and take a bath that I wanted.
Make sure it's not the poison one.
I'll be sure to guess my best.
Open my thumb.
You sometimes have to be sure with her. Right, so, as I understand it, we're supposed to be having a visitor. Although,
You are indeed. It's kind of evening now. Well, like late evening. With all the identifying and long breakfast and things, it's probably about midnight, to be honest.
Oh,
You are due a visitor imminently. Within the next few days at least, possibly the next day.
Alright, Katie, I'm spending an hour to make myself some smith's tools.
You make the smith's
Can I
tools.
then try and use smith's tools to transfer my holy symbol onto the new shield?
Yes.
Thank you.
Make me a check with the smith's tools.
Because otherwise I can't actually use this damn thing. Smith's tools, I don't. Oh, I do have it. There. Come on.
You scratch up the surface of the shield.
I'll never.
It's not shiny anymore. You can keep trying.
Yep, gonna
It's
need to
not
keep
shiny.
trying.
I assume you're not doing this in the room where you
No.
are, where there's the sleeping injured
No.
dwarfs.
I mean, I don't honestly know how I'm gonna do it
Scratch,
without a
scratch,
forge.
I assume you're kind of like trying to scratch and dent into the surface like a crude holy symbol,
For the moment, yeah.
yeah.
like just like a symbol. And if you roll again, get you to like...
Oh, come on.
Wow, you're really fucking the shield up.
Did you have inspiration?
Doesn't
Which you
matter.
can't use after the fact, but it's worth considering remembering if you do.
I did, but it doesn't.
I just want to see how badly messed up this shield gets before you like manage to achieve it.
Is there any
I don't get it. I give up. I actually
Wow.
give up.
Wow.
The shield, it's like a whole different shape now. It's so bumpy and battered.
Is it like that episode
It's
of
still,
Hunter
you know,
with the car?
Great.
yes.
Well, no magic items for me then.
I mean, you still have a +1 shield. It's just
Yeah, but I can't cast with it.
no.
So, no, you don't have a +1
No, I
shield.
don't.
I guess I'll
We'll
take
just get
it off
someone
you
better
then.
to try.
Yeah, you might as well. I can't use it without Holy Symbol.
Hmm.
I
Okay,
could have
we-
just painted one on for you.
It doesn't work like that. Holy Symbol's like actually items of value.
Well, we really need to get you a forge with some proper heat and some proper fire.
Since it is
Yeah, that's very
fuming.
achievable with a forge.
Hmm.
Very achievable with a forge.
Maybe that's the problem. It's not got a proper dwarven base to it. So it's not taking a proper dwarven god. It's like building a house on sand.
Okay, if any of you would like to step outside, the graves are done for the three dwarves and a burb that you pointed out. As you are informed by a late night dwarf who stayed up to bury them for you.
Just
Oh,
speed
that's
move
nice.
because it's quicker to do it that way rather than tapping all the way out.
Oh, do you want me to move you?
I mean, I managed to do
What?
it like that, but
After
Oh,
after my bath, I just went straight back to bed.
Oh, okay. Night night.
it's the cat. Oh, the cat.
Iona, when you went over to the river to have a bath, can you make me a perception check, please?
Okay.
And bear in mind you've got some good eyes for seeing.
Maybe you've got your. I don't know if you're wearing the sea
Evil.
feather glasses or not.
I put them on when I feel. I think I'm wearing them most of the time.
Okay, yeah, you go down to the river, you have a nice little bath.
Yay.
It's a nice evening.
What is up with these like out of combat rolls?
Nothing. Everything's fine. Who's got the tracking necklace again? Iona.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
So these are the 4 graves, and these are the 3 dwarves and the bird with the armor, right?
So, down here, yes, are the 4 graves of the three dwarves and a bird.
Have the bodies been brought here as well?
Yes, the bodies have been brought here. The armor has been sort of respectfully placed elsewhere.
I guess while everyone's like bimbling over what other, I want to go over all of the 4, and just generally check them, like check how they're positioned, make sure their hair is right, their clothes are neat.
They all had quite fine clothes on underneath their armor, and they're kind of a lot of them have got quite nasty wounds, but you kind of make them look all nice and neat, arrange them as best as you
I
can.
think I think I just put the bird in a respectable position, but no, I'll do it to the bird too. Like all of the ones that are clearly fighters, like make sure their weapons are on them and they're positioned so they're like lying on their back with their hands across their chest, like holding the haft of their weapon in like
Nice.
a like.
Classy.
Well, these are guards, and they are dwarves, and they should be buried in the way that they excel themselves.
Yeah. So these are the four whose ghosts you saw before.
Yeah.
And,
Space.
yeah, you nicely arranged them.
Sort of preparing for funeral rites, I
It's
suppose.
yeah.
I noticed no one else has turned
It's
up.
very peaceful and respectful. No one else has turned up, so you know.
What other has turned up?
The menus are. The cat.
Sorry, I'm just trying to
cat
work
shape.
out if I need two hands to use my lyre.
Yes. Well, it doesn't say, does it?
Yes.
But I can't imagine that you.
Hitty, have you shut a door or something?
Are you stuck? Do you need?
Oh, it's
Correct.
because the
Oh,
background
there
got
we go.
shifted over. You should just be able to move.
Oh,
Mm.
oops.
Um,
I thought I moved it back.
Oh, I see. No, there we go. Yeah, like yeah. Yeah. Okay, I found the problem.
The cat has come over, I see, to see what we're doing.
Right. Okay.
Yes.
I'm going where I'm going. I'm not coming outside. Don't worry about me.
Oh, you're not coming to the funeral of the dwarves.
Oh, apparently not.
He's gonna go
Wow.
stomp around
Mm.
the explored areas, trying to find that mural he half remembers.
Alright, well. Does he succeed at this?
Yeah, no, it was in that room that was the bard's room
Can you move?
where you found the magical
can't remember
instrument.
where.
You can, but your character may be able to. I assume, so I can just take
Yeah,
it
as I
there.
say, yeah. If you could just take Cinchbit to it.
Pop.
Ah, the screen's gone black. 'Cause I don't know
Okay.
where I am.
GM
we are.
fast travel?
Move
Yeah,
right.
I got it.
Yeah, so in here, yeah, you can find a, you find an engraving that kind of describes a vaguely similar process. It's very simplified because the images are like quite nice, but it shows a dwarf like forging, and then it shows a dwarf like fighting a large. It's so stylized, you don't really know. You think it's kind of just like a generic monster, like big beast. Like the artist hasn't really seen what it is. And then finally, it's the dwarf. I didn't write down what I described this as last time. I just know. And then I believe the last one was a dwarf like kneeling, I think, in front of a chair.
hmm.
It was something like that.
It was something like that. I don't want to keep guessing because if I do a bunch of different guesses, it'll become very like, if I'm sure it is already, but it'll become very apparent what I'm guessing around. So we'll just go with that. But yeah, it's very stylized and kind of fitted in with it fits in with a lot of other kind of tales that are engraved on the walls in here, like sort of stories and folk tales and like the kind of thing you'd more expect to see maybe from a storyteller.
You can go back to their funeral.
But this one does have particular care given to it.
Interesting. Yeah, I mean, I think the words were said over their spirits. So these people have been these dwarves and this bird have been laid to rest on a very personal level already. So this. I don't think this funeral is about that so much as very reverently. She will do it by hand rather than having anyone else putting these dwarves into the earth, and putting the bird in because she very much is treating this bird like an honorary dwarf. There is no differentiation of how she's treating them. I wasn't here to complain about that, so.
Yeah, no, you lay them to rest very peacefully and
Put them down and then sort of step back with that done, like wipe her brow and has promised. Contently not really say very much, but there is a satisfaction, a distinct like satisfaction going on with her that this is like one of the first moments when we've come here rather than doing what we needed to do to survive, and we've been burning diseased bodies, that like we promised that these people that we would do something, and we were able to do what they deserve, not what we had to do. And I think there's something very poignant and satisfying in that moment.
Mm-hmm.
And she's like a lot of quiet physical work. If Akeem wishes to say something, he can.
I don't know if he has much to say that hasn't been said already. He'll probably. He'll probably just say that their names will be remembered in song, and he will promise to write a song about them and their deeds that will echo through the generations.
Excellent. And I think that with them graves buried, she'll sort of stand up and say, right now, with everything finally sorted, I feel comfortable looking at that armor. It was wrong until this was done. Don't know where the others got off to, but I'm sure they're doing something important.
Probably. Let's head inside.
Let's do that. Alrighty. Oh, Katie has asked a question in the chat.
Yes. So there was a stone. It looked like a normal stone that you found with the beads of force that pinged as magical. Did anyone take that? Try and do anything with it?
We must have grabbed it because we were just putting everything magical in the pocket.
Yeah, I assume someone took it.
Yeah, I didn't, but if nobody did, then I would have done. But
Magical
I think
stones.
Uncle took it. Uncle probably took it.
I didn't pick up anything.
You sure? I know someone took it.
I
but
remember it
one
being
of
picked up.
you.
yeah.
I did not pick up
Begrudgingly.
anything until I was handed the axe.
You actually no, I've got this written down. The beads of force were handed to Iona, and and Sinjbir took the stone.
Really?
Yeah.
I stand corrected. I have no knowledge.
Well, that's what my notes say.
No, if they say it, then apparently I did.
Can we assume that was
Okay.
identified in the pile? Because
Yes, we'll assume, or maybe you did forget about it and you're doing it now that you've gone back to look at the stuff. You'll take a moment maybe on your
Sure.
on your own to do it?
Yeah, sure.
Or
I'll do it now.
do you want the party there? Okay. As you sit down and start to investigate the stone, you do your usual rituals, and as you hold on. Sorry. Yeah. So as you touch the stone and hold it in your hand, you can sense it, you can sense that it's like reaching out somewhere. And as you kind of hold it in your hands to do the ritual, after maybe a minute, you hear a voice in your head, loud and clear. Who is this? How did you find this stone? It looks like it's a sending stone. But it is and you are doing the ritual. You identify this as a sending stone. It is very low on magic. It is very old, and the enchantment has pretty much worn off. But there was apparently a little bit of power left. Do you say anything in response?
Nope. Very carefully place that down in the center of the ritual. Stop touching it.
Well, in that case, if you are not interacting with your magical new friend,
Good lord, no. Not by myself in an isolated room in the middle of the fortress. That's crazy.
is the burb doing anything, or will we cut to Akeem and myself having a look at this armor?
I'm asleep. Wake me up.
That's perfectly fair. The bird is just nesting.
Hmm.
Okay.
Okay. So, what you've got is a nice shiny plate armor. So you've got a bird set of plate armor, and you've got 3 dwarven sets of plate armor. And the plate armor that our leading lady was wearing is armor +1.
Plus
Ooh.
1 plate.
I know.
Holy crap.
Is
Well-
Can has?
Yes, please frontline tank, take the +1 plate.
I don't know if I should give it to
Although-
Sid.
Dear Lord, I just realised with a +1 shield, half plate, and fighting style, I'm now AC 20.
If you give that's really high for a bard. That's
I'm a fucking bard!
with
You're a tank now.
I can literally frontline tank.
the +1 AC plate would put me up to 19. If you put the +1 plate on Singebeard, he would get to 21, I think. No, 22, because something ridiculous.
I'm only 18 at the moment. It wouldn't get me that high.
No, because you'd go up by 3 for putting the +1 plate on. Because it goes from you're
yeah.
wearing 16, it would go to 19 base armor. And then
Yeah.
you had the magic shield later as well. We'll get some shenanigans.
That would have been nice.
So who gets that?
I mean, I'd like it because I don't have a shield, but
You can
I
have
think
it.
you're the one with the lowest, like the lowest AC, basically, because you're not using a shield, whereas we are, so you probably should have it.
yeah. Also, did you say it was the one that was female cut as well? So that's
Yes.
probably with the minimal amount of like
would-
sizing tools we have. That's probably a thing there.
Yeah.
It's a better
Just
fit.
Smart.
get to write the words like +1 plate on a character sheet somewhere in my life. It's like it's slightly glowy, not magical glowing or bright glowing, but like it had a look to it, didn't it?
Yeah, it was like it was really well looked after, and it was made out of, and you'll probably see this. So the like the dwarven forged weapons you found so far, and all the sort of the dwarven forged magic stuff you found so far, and this armor as well. It's made out of like a metal, kind of an alloy that you haven't quite seen before. It's probably an alloy of like some of it will be familiar stuff, and it's this warm coloured metal, and it's very strong,
Is it about
but
the same
kind
weight?
of heavy. It's like, yeah, it's kind of, it feels fairly dense. They've like cut it a bit thinner than you'd probably need to, but it comes out to the same weight
Right, cool.
as like a regular set.
Put that on, and I think the donning process, as maybe this is for everyone, is like the first time it goes on is very reverent. Like each piece gets put on slowly, and the straps are like triple checked, as like the craftsmanship is appreciated, and like not in
So-
terms of I have a pretty thing, in terms of like a person made this, they did a fantastic job, and that sort of like this is like the pinnacle of dwarven working together technology, that the smith is trained by the teacher who makes the armor for the warrior, sort of that sort of thing going on.
You don the armor of Salchorus.
This reference has gone over my head.
That's the name. That was her name.
That's the name of
Okay,
the...
that's getting added to the character sheet then.
Yeah.
Yes, I will
name
the armor.
name your items. I'm gonna take Hamsin's armor and convert it down to half plate.
Okay. Alrighty, and is Singebeard, I assume, taking a set
When I get back, sure.
when you get back? Yep.
Elenar's armor.
Not sure what to do with the bird stuff yet because our Flappy can't really wear it.
Yeah,
Well, I mean they can, but
but she might not
not
want
if she wants to be airborne.
For now, you could give it to one of the Aarakocra guards if you want.
That's a good idea.
Can
We
you
probably
save her
shouldn't.
whistle for me?
What's
'Cause
that
she
about?
had a whistle.
Oh, she did. She had a small silver whistle.
It's true.
Oh, she
Yeah.
did. That sounds like a shiny thing that Iona would have taken.
We'll definitely provide you with a whistle.
Yeah.
Okay, I think. Right, so I imagine, unless anyone else has anything to do, well, actually, no. I will put it this way: when you return from your mule, I assume you return to your mule as you put your armor on. I would like to say something.
Okay.
When you come back, come back. Well, those bodies are nicely. The bodies are put to rest and paid proper attention to. How was your little exploration? Did you find anything? Were you
Got
right?
myself right.
Good memory then. Was it the? Any thoughts then? Like, ideas? What these things could mean?
Ascension to rulership, maybe. I don't know. Just wanted to prove my memory's not gone yet.
Well, we know this place has a king. Maybe it's not passed down. Maybe it's, picked.
Hmm.
When's the Albert?
And then slaying a great beast.
Equally.
Well, I mean, any other thoughts? What it could be?
No. No.
That's honestly an excellent theory.
Yeah, well, that was easy. So- Well done. Sort of says, clearly having expected this to be a mystery and it isn't, and she's just like, well, go us. Do we have any other business, or are we waiting till morning?
None I can think of. Got a spare pick for people, but they can pick that up when they want.
Oh, yes. I'd put my one that isn't, special and added it to the group. Might help with clearing.
Okay, it's currently sort of very early hours of the morning. And yeah, should we sort of fast forward until morning?
Mhm.
Yeah, we will just check in on the bird and wake her up around what will be a reasonable-ish time of someone could start turning up any time. You may want to be around.
And indeed, it's not that far into the morning. Kind of the dwarves start to wake up around you. They're still working on clearing the bodies. It looks like it'll be another day to clear the bodies, and then maybe sort of 2 more if you want the fortress kind of really cleaned, to start getting some rooms just some of the blood and the debris, and just to start getting the worst of that gone. It won't be spotless, but it'll be at that point probably tolerable.
And then there should be enough rooms for everyone to actually move into and get one of their own.
Yes, there should be. And it's kind of mid-morning still when you hear the sound of basically approaching voices to your fortress. They don't appear to be making any attempt to hide themselves or keep their presence a secret. And you can hear about 5 different voices, along with the moderate crashing and hacking that comes with trying to wedge a wagon along. along paths that haven't seen a wagon in a very long time. And yeah, assuming you kind of hang out and wait, it's not long before you see humans start to like kind of come out of the tree line near your fortress, wearing clothes embroidered in red and blue thread. As you can recall, the humans that you know from Sellwater were wearing before. So it looks like Sellwater have come to trade. They have a big wagon.
Judging by where we are, it appears that we are standing by the edge of the drawbridge, which, attempting to look as you have come to our place.
Professional
Yeah,
as possible. With your not drawbridge.
Yes, well, there is however giant stone walls
It's
and
2
fancy
logs.
armor, so at least we're doing our best to look impressive. Okay, do you need me to roll something?
No, oh yeah, I put the wagons inside, but actually that you have no way of getting the wagons inside yet,
Yeah,
so I'll
but
put
we
them
can still
back
look to the
outside.
side.
No Peaky's grave. And yeah, they start to roll up to the fortress, and maybe we'll just end it here for
Sure.
today.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Seems like a fun note to end it on.
Before some conversation and some rope playing.
The rope